So Tig.
Yes, Eric.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Some weeks back, after a friend introduced Ted Lasso to me, binged the first season. Like, I think I watched the whole first season within 24 hours, and immediately was reaching out to a bunch of people, you included, and I was like, you have to watch this show. You have to watch this show. And amazingly, you actually trusted me.
Yes.
You actually trusted me and got to it right away, and also had the same experience I did, where you were basically like, oh yeah, I have to watch this show.
Agreed.
Why?
Because it wasn't what I expected it to be.
But what did you expect it to be?
I didn't expect it to be a American-British comedy, like a hybrid comedy, American-British comedy about football, or as the Americans call it, soccer. And I didn't expect to enjoy a comedy about a soccer.
In talking about it tons with people in the last couple of weeks, so one of the things I say over and over is like, it's not a show about football.
That's what you told me. That's why I also was like, okay, like, because you were like, it's this, but it's not about that.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, or first of all, the third and final season of Ted Lasso is on its way. As this is released, it should be coming out soon. I think it's fair to say that we're both very excited about that.
Oh yes.
Ted Lasso is based on the series of sports promos for NBC, I think.
Yeah, it's NBC Sports promos for when, what was it, like not the World Cup? It might have been originally the World Cup.
No,
right?
I think it was the championship series or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I guess they were going to broadcast it here in the U.S. They were trying to take advantage of like some soccer fever.
Right.
So they got Jason Sudeikis from SNL to do this character, Ted Lasso, who was like this goofy scamp. He's basically, I mean, explain what he is.
He's basically a American football coach, right? That's like, even in the promo, it starts out where he's like he's naive to the sport of soccer, and he gets brought in to coach a soccer team that he is only really being presumed to be hired just because he's good at with working with people.
Yeah, but he has no idea what the sport's about.
Yeah, and he has nothing about it, and that's the whole joke, is that he calls everything the wrong thing. It's like, it's not the field, it's the pitch, it's not the da-da-da-da.
Yeah, and in those initial promos, he's basically sort of a rube.
Right.
Which that is not the case in the show.
No.
So somehow or another, and I don't, how and like where this came from, I don't even know. Somehow or another, someone decided that's a TV show.
Yeah. And
they made a TV show, which is super weird. That idea should not have worked.
No, it shouldn't work at all.
It's kind of a dumb idea. Like, and you would think that it would turn into a dumb show. And yet, Ted Lasso, to me, ended up being one of the most honest and real feeling examinations of just the way people affect one another's lives.
Yeah, it's shockingly a tearjerker in probably more episodes than it's not. Like, as it got into the second season, I was like, oh my God, like every one of these episodes makes you want to you start tearing up while you're watching it.
Yeah, there's some heavy emotional moments. And won the Emmy for Best Comedy Series two years in a row, and a bunch of the actors are winning stuff and all that. But I almost kind of feel like it's sort of a cheating for that second season, because the second season isn't really a comedy anymore.
No, it definitely changes.
It's still funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's still like a funny show, but all right. So the first season is kind of hilarious all the way through. There's a lot of serious drama in it too, but it's very funny. It's like, because you're dealing with like Ted's character trying to figure out life in England, and and it's a lot of the obvious jokes about like, oh, you call this that, we call it this, and
right.
There's a lot of that stuff. But really the humor is in watching the way people are like initially put off by Ted's like sort of insane personality, but he just wears everyone down, and everyone eventually like loves him.
Yeah, like, real quick, are we going to be spoiling anything in this?
Oh yeah, I guess we should probably say that. Yes. Okay. This will definitely have spoilers. So if you have not watched seasons 1 and 2 of Ted Lasso, you should probably do that before listening to this. I guess the only thing you need to know is like we both highly recommend it. But yeah, we're definitely getting to get into spoiler territory. So go ahead with what you were going to say.
When you were talking about how the main joke ends up being about how he not the main joke, but the thing is that people are kind of annoyed by him.
Yes.
Because of his personality. I mean, even his relationship fails because he's too positive and
yes.
he's too like always looks at the bright side kind of thing, which you find out isn't really how he is. He is that way, but that's when it starts to get sort of serious, is when you start to see it fall apart.
Yeah,
that personality.
Yeah, if the first season is really focused on and about Ted's kind of his drive and his journey towards switching everyone around him to being more positive and less cynical and really coming together and, you know, learning to love one another and learning to love life. And the second season, you really understand that a lot of it is a coping mechanism for him.
Yeah.
And it gets pretty heavy.
Yeah, it gets real heavy.
I mean, I think what's really interesting, and one of the reasons why I feel that the show's so honest and real and natural, a character like Ted, there's always a real danger of him being just a character.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he's a two-dimensional thing. He's like, but no, this guy has a fully fleshed out inner life happening that you kind of discover as the show goes on.
Yeah, which in the first season when it ended, I was kind of discussing that with people about how I was like, well, where are they going to go? You can't do this again. You can't have the first season again because all the jokes have been exhausted. His character can't just be this guy who's naive anymore, because by the end of the first season, he's no longer naive per se. He learned kind of what was going on. So by the second season, I'm like, what are they going to do? What could they possibly do?
Yeah.
And they friggin' the second season is just better.
Oh, yeah.
It's just shockingly better, which is saying a lot, because the first season's of great time.
Yeah.
You want to binge watch it. But the second season, I was shocked where they took it, but I was glad. I was glad where they took it.
I think one thing that is really great that they did, and in some ways important that they did, is they kind of made the point that Ted's positivity isn't just sort of an inherent part of him. It's a choice. That's a choice that he's making every day to be the kind of positive person that he is, and he has to work at it. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come natural. It's something that he has to work at. And then that second season really gets into the idea that working at it so much took its toll on him.
Yeah.
He wasn't taking care of himself. He was so busy trying to lift everyone else around him up. He wasn't taking care of his own mental health. And
he basically has a anxiety attack during a main part of his the career of his team, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, he's struggling with these panic attacks and all that, and it's because he's wearing that mask of positivity so much and so often, he forgets to deal with what's bubbling inside, and that's of course his marriage falling apart and being away from his family. He misses his kid and all that stuff. That really rung true for me, because I have a very close friend who is also very, very just always a very positive guy. He's always trying to look on the bright side. He's always trying to lift people around him up. But I also know, because, knowing him very well and having, late night heart-to-hearts and all that, it's the same thing. It's a choice he's making. It's something he has to work at. It's not like he's naive or anything like that. And, which is something that, Ted Lasso deals with as well. It's not just,
yeah, he's choosing to focus on the positive.
Yeah.
It's almost like something he has to work, like yoga or something, where he's meditating in a weird way. It's like that kind of thing where he's working on it.
And the great thing is, Ted is not the only character who they deal with in those kind of ways, in a really rich and honest and realistic way. I mean, I think one of the other great examples is, of course, Nate the Great.
Oh yeah.
Who over the course of the second season, again, spoiler alert, this is a big one too. Over the course of the second season, in the first season, Nate's this quiet, unassuming guy. He's like the helper in the locker room, whatever they call the role. I don't know.
He's like the equipment coach, if you want to call him the equipment guy.
Yeah. But Ted treats him great, as Ted treats everyone great, and eventually accepts ideas from him and all that. And by the end of the season, he becomes a coach. He's one of the co-coaches. So it's a feel good story. Yay, Nate. But in the real world, that kind of switch doesn't always come easily for somebody. So in the second season, it deals with that in a really honest way, because Nate, despite the fact that everyone around him really likes Nate, Ted respects him. He rose up through the ranks, purely based on his good ideas and all that. He's still filled with insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
He's
because of his father and he never do enough.
Yeah, he doesn't feel as if he's earned his his spot. He keeps saying it like, I earned this, but he doesn't believe it.
Right.
And so by the end of the season, of course, he betrays Ted and he goes over to the other team, and he's sort of a bad guy. Except what I absolutely love about that journey is it wasn't him really turning into a villain. Everything that he did was based on came from a place of pain and internal pain, which is just, their writing is just remarkable. Just absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, his character is great because of his character ends season 2.
Yes,
that shot where he, you see him from behind, and then the ex-husband, hires him. He's like, it's for me as a Giants fan, it would be like the guy who goes to Dallas. It's like he joined the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
but the other character that I really ended up liking, which I didn't think in a...
I hope you're going to say who I hope you're going to say.
I didn't think in a million years I was going to like is the Manchester British dude.
That surprised me. Jamie Tart. Jamie Tart. Jamie Tart.
Just because he's such a stereotypical dick.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like he plays all the stereotypes of a young, very talented athlete who has everything handed to him. He doesn't have to try. He's got all the talent. But by season 2, he has a good character arc. He changes. You find out how fucking rough he has it.
Yes. Oh, that scene near the end of season 1. I think it's in the last episode where things don't go right in the game and all that, and his father's berating him in the room. Ted looks in and sees what's going on.
Yeah, he comes into the locker room with his drunk buddies.
Or no, that was in the second season.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're talking about when he's berating him outside. Yeah.
That sort of brings it all into focus. You realize oh, now I know who this guy is.
Right.
Now I know why he's such a prick. And then the second season, of course, deals with that, because Jamie himself starts to try and figure out why am I the way, I don't want to be like my old man.
Right.
How do I change? And
and he slowly tries. He comes back to the team. He's trying to play along. He's trying to be the good guy. He has the thing with his dad and all that stuff, and it ends again with his character, with the cliffhanger, with the whole love triangle, blah blah blah, that's going on and everything. But I just liked that he turned into a character where I was I kind of like this guy, because he's kind of you realize he's not a dick.
Yeah.
He just grew up in a household he thought that's how he's supposed to act. That's just who I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, it was the only thing he knows. It's sort of the show deals with it without actually coming out and saying it, which the show does that sort of thing a lot. But he's in that cycle of abuse that a lot of people get locked into.
Right.
You get raised in an abusive household, and that just becomes part of who you are.
Yeah, it's his defense mechanism.
Yeah, so then you go and you abuse others, and and so on. He was kind of locked into that, but Ted and Keeley kind of broke him out of that.
Right.
Which is great. See, I thought you were going to say Roy Kent.
Well, everybody, I feel like everybody just loves his, he's just a great character in general. He's just...
Now, what's interesting about him, and Ted Lasso aficionados are going to know this already. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the actor who plays Roy Kent wasn't initially cast to play Roy Kent, because the actor who plays Roy Kent is one of the writers on the show.
Oh, he's actually one of the writers? Okay.
And that's how he started. He was in the writer's room, and they were halfway through writing the first season. They still hadn't yet cast the character. They didn't know who he was going to be or anything. And the more and more that went on, the guy is
that's you.
He's I think I can do this. I think I'm this guy. And thankfully they gave him a chance. He's terrific.
Yeah, he's the show. I mean, for a large portion, especially season 2, it's not the same. You could not to have the same show without Ted Lasso or whatever, but without him, I don't know if the show is really even the same, because he's sort of like a lightning rod of just the way his character is. He's just sort of
he's that great sort of character where he's gruff and off-putting and seems angry all the time, but you can tell He's scared to be vulnerable.
Yeah, he's the likable curmudgeon.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. like you could tell he doesn't mean it 90% of the time, except when it comes to Jamie.
Right, yeah, of course.
He's terrific, and everyone, he's here, he's there, he's every fucking where Roy can.
and the fact that they team him up with his niece, that they hang out and all that stuff makes it even funnier because it's like the old gruff cursing guy with the
that stuff's adorable. There's that one conversation that he has in the car with her because she had been cursing in school, and she's basically like, let's quit cursing together, and he's like, fuck no.
He's a great character.
I can't do it. I mean, the thing is, there isn't a character on the show that isn't great. Rebecca and Keeley both, like, everyone loves them too. Yeah. For obvious, like, Rebecca is incredible. Mm-hmm. Her and what is it? Hannah Waddingham, I think, is the actress. So damn good. Oh my god.
Yeah, she's
when the show first starts, right? The setup is the same as the movie Major League. The premise is,
it's the same story.
It's like a scorned ex-wife who was upset at the ex-husband, so she's going to secretly tank the team,
right?
In order to like embarrass him and screw him over and stuff like that. And so like that's why Ted gets hired, because after all, why the hell would a British football team?
Yeah, you're under the impression that he's getting hired under the fact that he just happens to be like a good coach in general.
But he was like a high school coach, right?
Yeah, or college, I think.
Yeah, like he wasn't. Yeah. So yeah, like her initial plan is to ruin the team. So when I'm first watching, I'm like, oh, it's Major League. Like, okay, cool. They're doing the Major League story. Like, that's nothing wrong with that, because I love Major League.
Right.
But again, just like with all this, there's nothing two-dimensional about this show. There ends up being so many layers to who she is and what she's actually all about. And by the end, those last couple episodes in the first season, she's still trying to keep up the appearance of
because she even does some fucked up stuff.
Yeah.
Like when you think she's coming around the corner and you're like, oh well, now she'll understand, and then she just ends up she's releasing things to the press and shit like that.
So in that last episode when she finally confesses to Ted like what she's been doing, first, like, my heart was kind of breaking for her, because it was like I was happy for her because she finally realized how she had gone off the tracks. But then, oh my god, when Ted was like, it's all right, and was ready to move on, I was like, I was really struck by that. I was like genuinely struck by that. I think and I'm not saying anything that isn't new here, because this was basically the big talking point. Guess when because we came to the show late.
Yeah, we watched it,
but
we're like a year behind, 2 years behind.
Yeah, but like the big talking point of the show when it first came out in the middle of like the lockdowns and stuff, and with COVID, was that it felt good, and like and people need this show that makes you feel good, because it's a very positive feel good show.
Right.
So again, I'm not saying anything new here, because people have said this a million times, but that was, after watching that first season, that's what made me start to reach out to like friends like you, where it was like, you need to watch this. You need this in your life. It came to me at a time where I needed that. I needed a guy like Ted Lasso to be in my life. So in that last scene, when he makes clear that he understands who Rebecca is and why she did the things that she did, and he's not happy about it, but like, it's all right, and he's ready to move on. That just really, really hit home with me.
Yeah, there's not a lot of... Ted Lasso reminds me more of the shows that used to be on that were sitcoms when we were kids, where they were like more dramedies, like Moonlighting and stuff, where it was jokes and whatever, but then there was always some sort of like MASH, I guess, was like that, right? Where it was like jokes, but there was heavy shit.
Yeah, in later years.
People watched it as a comedy almost. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, it reminds me of that, which I feel like they don't do much. Roseanne was kind of... I feel like Roseanne is the last show that's kind of like in the Ted Lasso vein, where it's like, oh, it's a comedy. Oh my god, I just got hit over the head with like something pretty fucking, rough.
Like that kind of thing is coming back a little bit in shows like Barry and Atlanta, both of which they get called comedies, but I kind of don't think that they are. Like, Barry starts off as a little zany and pretty funny, but it gets pretty heavy and pretty serious. Atlanta, again, starts off as a sort of a surreal comedy, but it just turns into, a surrealistic art and drama relatively quickly. And so, like, I noticed that one of the, like, what is season 2 or season 3 of Atlanta, again, nominated for an Emmy for Best Comedy Series. And I'm seeing this and thinking, like, but it's not a comedy series anymore.
Right.
Just like season 2 of Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
It's not a comedy series.
No, it's not at all.
You know?
Like, it's got its funny parts, but it's definitely I guess it's a dramedy. The first season isn't really, though. The first season is really more just a comedy with some heart.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, they kind of suck you in a way, the show, because when you tell someone to watch it, you're like, oh, it's funny, it's a comedy, but you're kind of sucking them in like the show does, because they watch it and they go, oh, that was great, we'll watch the second season, and then it's like a tear-jerking dramedy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that second season is...
But in a good way.
It's an emotional roller coaster.
You think about it this way, the whole second season revolves around a therapist, basically.
Yes.
Around therapy.
Yes. The main thrust of the second season, like, right, if the first season is about having a positive impact on the people in your life, the second season is really about self-care. The whole, like, almost every character's journey has something to do with taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental health, and the harm that can come if you don't do that.
Yeah, even the therapist.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Who's a great character, too.
She was terrific. And I love that at first you'd barely know her. She's around for a couple episodes, and she seems like she's just this sort of tough ass.
Yeah, you don't even think I didn't think she was going to stick around. Yeah. I kind of thought she was like a 2 or 3 episode, like, hard ass that was going to come in there and then just leave.
And then you get a glimpse of her at her apartment, and there's empty wine bottles everywhere, and she's talking to a friend who's also a therapist, and it's very clear that she's got some shit going on too. Yeah. And it's interesting. I don't think we ever learn what her shit is.
No.
We just know it's there.
She has trouble, like, which I noticed, she's the reverse of Ted Lasso.
Yes. Yeah.
Cause she has, like, problems. I know that at one point she mentions she has problems with connecting with people or whatever. Like,
yeah.
That's like her thing, where Ted Lasso fucking connects with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, like her approach to therapy, though it's incredibly effective, as she reminds us all the time, she's really good at her job.
Yeah.
But it's clinical it's kind of clinical.
Yeah, she's like cold, but she comes off as cold.
Yeah.
Whereas she's not.
Whereas Ted is like one of the very first things Ted does when he first joins the team is bring biscuits every morning for Rebecca. You know, like, he's always trying to get closer to people, even when they don't want it.
Yeah, but that's why their relationship through the second season is so awesome, because they drive each other crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there's points where she's like, my door's always open, like, when you want to talk, and he's like, fuck you, basically, which is crazy, because he never, like, there's a point where he basically tells her to fuck off.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, like, he says he hates therapists.
There's that scene or two where he kind of goes off.
Yeah.
He's angry, and that's really the first time we've seen, like, genuine anger from Ted. Though, again, this is what's so amazing about the show, how real and natural and honest it is. It's how 3-dimensional it is.
Yeah.
It's anger coming from a place of hurt. It's anger masking the fact that he doesn't know how to grapple with his own like the emotional difficulties that are boiling inside of him. So he's not really mad at her. He's mad at himself because he doesn't know how to express how he's feeling.
Yeah. That's why he takes him so long to finally sit down and talk to her.
And that kind of stuff is just, it's remarkable to get it in a show with as silly a premise as this. And for it to be handled so well, like it's handled, there are really serious dramas that don't handle subject matter like this nearly as well as this.
No, I can't really think of anything that's been so well written for every character. Yeah, even the boss's helper, the old guy. Like, think of how developed think of how developed his character. Like, you know, his family, his kids. You know everything about him.
Yes,
and he's such a minor character.
Yeah, and he's wonderful.
Yeah,
he's absolutely wonderful. Yeah, you're right. Like, again, you can see what his inner life is. You kind of get.
You know why he works there. You know that he looks forward to hanging out with his wife. Like, uncertain, and it's just amazing how well it's not very often that you find a show where every character. I feel like The Office and Community are probably one of the only ones I can think of where like you sort of feel like you literally know everybody and you're interested in what they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Though this show does it a lot better.
I think what you just said is kind of important. Like, you're interested in what they're going to be doing. a lot of times when you have a more of an ensemble show where you're following multiple character arcs and storylines, there's always like maybe one that you don't care about that much.
You almost tune out if you want to.
But in this, every single character arc, every single story that's going on throughout all this, like I cared about all of them.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what was going on with all of them. And it was never one of these things where like they switch a scene and you're like, oh, okay, can't wait till this character's off screen so we can get back to the ones I like. I loved all of them.
Yeah, even when we forgot to even mention, because now it pops in my head thinking about it, is the young soccer player from what African country is he from?
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yes.
He's a great character. Like, he came out of nowhere. He ends up having a relation, he has that chat relationship with, he doesn't know he's talking to the owner.
Yeah. And again, he's got a great journey too, because it's like he has an avenue towards stardom, but he also has some moral dilemmas that he has to deal
all the
with.
weight of like being from his country and representing it and fighting against. I mean, he gets the team he plays for the show to change its supporter.
Yes. Oh God, I loved that moment when they all taped over the sponsor and came out. When that happened in the locker room, I think it was Jamie who stepped up first. Jamie Tart is the one who was like,
go ahead, we're doing it.
Throw me the tape. And it was one of, like a dozen or more times in that second season where I was just like, my heart kind of filled up. I was just like, yes. Like,
and especially because the owner, they do it and you're like, oh, well, is she gonna?
Yeah.
Because she makes a phone call and the guy's like, just fucking just fire him or whatever. Whatever. And she actually is like, no. And it was nice that like even the owner like kind of came out to he's a great character too, just because he's like he's more happy than like Ted Lasso's the happiest person on the show to a point when you realize there's more, but he's like literally the son of, well, actually no, he's pretty happy, but the most happy guy on the show is the new guy that they bring in from like Brazil or whatever. That's like, oh yeah, I love soccer is life or
football
whatever. Football is life.
And until of course he accidentally kills a dog.
Yeah. Everything goes south.
Yeah, but I'd like the contrast between him and Jamie's character because he comes from a good home life. His parents are very supportive. His father loves him and tells him how proud he is. So that when his father does express disappointment in the sponsor and he's doing an ad for like an oil company or something like that, or a company that's affiliated with an oil company, and his father is disappointed because of the damage this company has done in Nigeria, that means a lot to him because his father is important to him. He comes to understand his responsibility and steps up to it in a big way. Yeah,
it's just another thing where it's well written. I know that the third season is supposed to be the final season, right?
Yes, yeah. Jason Sudeikis has come right out and said,
which is great.
They have the story in mind. They know what they're going to do. I just can't wait.
Yeah, I'm glad. I also real quick. The fact that it's ending is very British, and I love that because I love that. Being a huge fan of just British shows and comedy, I love the mix of American and British humor because there's a lot of dryness to it, there's a lot of sarcasm, and I freaking love that stuff.
You were saying to me before we started recording, and now I can't remember the show. Oh, never mind. It was Schitt's Creek, where you were saying that you appreciated the fact that they actually wrote an ending. Like that last season, they knew it was going to be their last season, and so they were able to structure it in such a way so that it had a satisfying end. And like I'm really glad that Ted Lasso is going to have that opportunity. It's not going to just keep going until it meanders off.
Yeah, that's the most American thing, right? You just run it till the tap is dry, and then it just ends. So it's like so nice to have like, nope, we're writing it 3 seasons. This is a story being told. You're watching a story.
I think the creators understand that they have something special on their hands, and they don't want to squander that. Yeah. Which is actually something I'm terrified is going to happen with another Apple TV show that I absolutely love called Severance, which we will talk about one day if I get you to watch it. I actually don't know that it's going to be to your taste. But it's a fantastic show. The problem is the creator of the show has talked about like when there's there's been speculation of how long it'll go on and all that, and he's like, it could go on 3, 5, 10 seasons. It'd be great if it can go like 20 seasons. Like No, that wouldn't be great. That would be bad. Yeah. This, like Severance is a show that is begging to be very limited. the first season ended in a place where I almost kind of feel like, okay, you have one season left, maybe two. Anything more than that, you're damaging what is right now some of the most brilliant television I've ever seen. That's why I was so happy to hear that the creators of Ted Lasso are like, nope, this is it.
Yeah, and like it's bittersweet. I know that people will say like, well, I want more, but it's like, yeah, but do you?
No,
because if he squeezed it out for 5-6 seasons, then you get to the point where like, you'd almost have to introduce new characters or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could.
So it's nice.
I could see them now. I'm not saying I want this, but I could see them giving like Keeley a spin-off or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
I don't actually want to see that because I like spin-offs are a weird territory too. They're, like it's very rare when they're done right. Like for every Better Call Saul, there's like After MASH.
Oh God, or there's or the spin-offs for Cheers. There's like, didn't they? Carla had her own show, and I think even like,
did she?
Yeah, I think it was what was the name of the guy that she was married to all the time?
Carla.
Yeah, you know Carla's like ex-husband that was always on the show. He has that funny name. Carla's ex-husband was always like, he was like a womanizing, and no one ever, like Diane, and they would never understand why he had this amazing way of like making women like him because he was disgusting.
He had a show?
Yeah, he had a spin-off that lasted like, they tried to have a spin-off with him and the family, and it only lasted like 6 episodes or something.
I don't even remember that guy. I remember he existed, but I don't remember. I can't picture him.
Carla,
for a minute there, I thought you were making a Frasier joke because I was like, no,
I mean,
like
Frasier's some people say Frasier's better than Cheers, and sometimes
that's one of the few examples of a spinoff that was like okay, spinoffs that actually got it right. We already talked Better Call Saul, Frasier. I would say the Jeffersons.
Yes, yeah, the Jeffersons.
Jeffersons is one of the all-time great spinoffs.
They tried the Ropers. That was bad too, by the way. I just wanted to.
The Ropers was bad.
Spinoffs that were.
Oh, you know what? Mork and Mindy. No, but no. I'm sorry. No, I'm not going to. Even though technically Mork and Mindy was a spinoff, I don't count it because
that was from Happy Days, right?
It was from Happy Days, but I don't count it as a spinoff because really, when Mork appeared on Happy Days, it was a stealth pilot. It was one of those things where they knew they just tied it to Happy Days so they could give it some little bit of a kick. Yeah, and I don't think stealth pilots count as spinoffs. Like the Jeffersons was not like they were ongoing.
They were the neighbors and they used to interact.
Yeah, so that's like a real spinoff. Right. Frasier, a real spinoff. Better Call Saul, real spinoff. The Ropers, a real spinoff, but
that was bad.
That was bad. But I think Mork and Mindy was just like a stealth pilot. So to get back to the point. There's potential to do Ted Lasso spinoffs. However, I don't want to see one.
No.
If one got created, would I check it out? Of course I would. Of course. If you gave fucking Roy Kent a show, I'd check it out.
If you surround him, that's the thing though, but all the characters, if they were a spinoff, you'd have to surround him with a cast that isn't just that person, because one of them individually is not going to be interesting.
Well, and that's just it. In order to successfully spin off from Ted Lasso, you have to have an amazing ensemble.
Yeah.
Because the power of Ted Lasso is not in the title character.
No.
Like Sudeikis is great in the role. I mean, he's a really good character, don't get me wrong, but if it was just him doing that shit, no.
That's why in the second season, he's actually not even... If you think about it, like there's a good amount of episodes where he's not even almost in the episodes.
Yeah. The gag would have gotten tiresome if it was
which
just
I think
him.
they were aware of.
Yeah, like the ensemble is just fantastic.
And real quick, we didn't even mention Beard.
Oh, yeah. Also, one of the co-creators.
Which doesn't... He needs to be recognized because his character, even though he is a one-dimensional character, obviously written to be. The Rock, I guess, in a way. He's got shit going on.
But
with that woman.
But that's it. And this is what the show is so good at. He is, but he isn't. Like once you start to get a look into his inner life and what what he's really all about, you understand that there's a lot more going on there.
Yeah. He definitely with his relationship is his like he has trouble separating himself from someone who probably he shouldn't be with, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to, I might say this might be controversial.
Oh my God.
I think it's a testament to how fantastic the show is that the series' worst episode is the solo Beard episode. and that episode is fantastic.
Oh yeah, when it's just him wandering around.
It's a great episode. And
it's so weird.
And if that is the show's worst episode, and I think it might be. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure people can and will argue, but if that is sort of the basement of the show, holy shit, how good is this show?
Yeah, I would agree. It's because it's a standalone episode, right? So you don't even need it technically in a way. Like it doesn't have to be part of the show.
Yes, that is exactly why I say it's the worst. Not because it's a bad episode, and not because I dislike Beard, because dude's amazing.
Yeah, he's real funny.
But only because it's the one and only time in the entire series where everyone else is gone and you're only with one character.
Yeah.
And so it felt really out of place to me. And it came late in the second season.
Yeah.
It's like the third to last episode or something.
Yeah, and the episode, it takes place literally. It's connected to the episode before.
Yes, it's
because he's walking away. He's saying because they lose the game, and he goes, "I'm just gonna go walk it off. I'm gonna go walk around in the city."
Yeah,
and that episode ends, and then all of a sudden, the next episode is just all him walking around in the city.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 episodes that are basically, a lot of them take place concurrently. Like it's all happening at the same time. And that Beard episode is like woven through all that stuff.
Do you know what it reminded me of?
I don't.
A movie you made me watch.
Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right.
And
Holy shit.
I feel like they definitely, right, like watched After Hours or somebody.
Yeah, so Tig is referring to Martin Scorsese's After Hours, a film he made in the early to mid 80s. It's a black comedy. I love it. Tig did not. And
if
you find our YouTube channel, and what the hell was the series called?
We watch movies.
Movie Club. Was it Movie Club?
Yeah, the Movie Club.
But yeah, so look for the Movie Club series, where I think we did. What did we do? Did we get to 50 episodes?
Yeah, I think we did 50.
We did around 50 episodes of just basically giving one another movies to watch and then talking about them. And one of the first we did was Scorsese's After Hours, which again, it's an oddball black comedy they did in the 80s, which I really like.
Lots of people like it because we still get comments on it. They're like, "How did you not like this? I love this movie." I
honestly, I actually kind of felt a little bad because, and there was one dude in particular was kind of savaging you in the comments. I was like, "Yo, it's all right. It's okay to not like a movie."
You know how it is. People don't like when you don't like a movie that they love.
If you've already seen Ted Lasso, then great. Hopefully you've enjoyed this conversation. But if you haven't and you listened anyway,
fools.
Definitely, you gotta check. You need this in your life. You need Ted Lasso in your life. Hopefully, by the time this episode comes out, season 3 will be just around the corner because I'm eager for it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic.
It's a little bit sad that I have to wait so long, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tig, thanks for joining me here.
Yes, Eric, it's been fun.
Ja.